The scanners screened warnings across the bridge of the Cowrix exploration vessel, and Commander Vekran felt his secondary arms twitch with alarm as impossible readings flooded his tactical display. "What am I looking at?" Vekran demanded, his voice carrying the sharp clicks of his insectoid species science officer Thala, her amphibian skin shifting to a pale blue that indicated confusion. Studied the data strings with growing disbelief. "Commander, we have detected over 6,000 individual vessels in a precise military formation," Thala said, her voice trembling slightly. "They are orbiting the red giant star designated as Omega 779. Vekran moved closer to the main view screen, his compound eyes analyzing every detail. Sector they were exploring had been marked as a dead zone for as long as galactic records existed. A place where no civilization had ever settled and no resources had ever been found worth claiming. Energy signatures? Yaskadil worked her controls, and her skin turned almost white. "Commander, the energy readings are beyond our measurement scales," she said. "Each vessel is generating power equivalent to a small star. And they have been doing so for," she paused, recalculating, "for at least 500,000 standard years." The bridge fell silent, except for the soft hum of the ship's systems. 500,000 years was longer than most civilizations existed. Longer than the Cowrix Dominion had ruled the galaxy. Longer than many species had possessed spaceflight. "That is impossible," Vekran stated. Though he knew the scanners did not lie. Nothing can function for that long without maintenance or resupply. "I have cross-referenced the vessel designs with our historical archives," Thala said, her fingers dancing across holographic controls. "Commander, these ships match fragmentary records from the mythical era, from before the Dominion rose to power." She brought up ancient images on the screen, badly degraded files that had been copied and recopied through millennia. "These are human warships," Thala whispered. From the old Earth Alliance, Vekran had heard the stories. Of course, every child in the Dominion learned about the mysterious humans, who had supposedly ruled the galaxy before vanishing without explanation. Most scholars considered them myths, legends invented to explain ancient ruins and mysterious artifacts that occasionally turned up on distant worlds. "Humans are fairy tales," Vekran said, but his voice lacked conviction. "The evidence suggests otherwise," Thala replied. "Commander, I recommend we maintain our distance and request instructions from High Command." Vekran considered the suggestion carefully. He had been given command of this exploration mission specifically because of his cautious nature, his ability to assess risks and avoid unnecessary dangers, but the potential discovery before him was too significant to ignore. "Move us closer," he ordered. "Maximum shields. All weapons ready, but do not target the vessels. I want detailed scans of everything." The exploration ship crept forward, its crew tense and alert as they approached the massive fleet. Vekran began to appreciate the true scale of what they had found. The smallest vessels were the size of Cowrix cruisers, sleek and deadly looking despite their incredible age. The largest were mobile fortresses that dwarfed anything the Dominion had ever built. Mountains of metal and unknown alloys that seemed to drink in the starlight, attempting to penetrate their hull composition. Thala reported, "Our scanners cannot get readings." "Commander, their armor is blocking everything we send." Vekran felt a chill run through his exoskeleton. Modern Cowrix technology could analyze the molecular structure of a planet from orbit. Yet these ancient ships remained opaque to their most advanced sensors. "Try passive observation only," he commanded. "Record everything but send nothing active toward those vessels for 3 hours." The Cowrix ships circled the edge of the formation, gathering what data they could. The human fleet hung in space like sleeping giants, their surfaces unmarred by the erosion of time. No debris surrounded them, no signs of damage or decay. Whatever technology kept them functioning had done so flawlessly for 500,000. Years then, everything changed. Warning klaxons blared as energy readings spiked across every human vessel simultaneously. They are powering up, Thala shouted, her skin flashing bright red in panic. All ships activating defensive systems. A barrier of pure energy erupted into existence, surrounding the entire human armada in a sphere of crackling power that made the Calric shields look like children's toys. The exploration ship systems screamed as electromagnetic pulses washed over them. And Vecren gripped his command chair as the vessel shuddered. Full reverse. He ordered, "Get us out of range now." Before the Calric ship could retreat, a message began broadcasting on every frequency, in every language the Dominion had ever encountered, and thousands more they had never heard. The translation systems struggled to keep up as the warning repeated in 17,000 different tongues. "This is the Eternal Fleet," the message declared in perfect ancient Calrics. "We remain on watch. Do not approach. These vessels are the final gift of humanity to the galaxy. We will defend all sentient life, but we will not be claimed or controlled. This is your only warning." The message ended, and the energy barrier intensified, becoming so bright that the view screen had to dim to prevent damage to the crew's vision. "Commander, I am detecting automated defense systems targeting our vessel," Thala said, her voice barely above a whisper. "They could destroy us at any moment." Vecren made his decision instantly. Full retreat. "Maximum speed," he commanded. "Send an emergency transmission to Admiral Zorath. Tell him we have found something that will change everything we know about galactic history." As the exploration ship fled the Forgotten Sector, Vecren watched the human armada recede on the view screen. The ancient vessels remained in perfect formation, their energy barriers gradually dimming, but never fully disappearing, 500,000 years after their creators had vanished. The human warships still functioned with terrifying efficiency. "What were they?" asked Lieutenant Sorix, a young officer who had remained silent throughout the encounter. "What kind of species builds something that lasts forever and then just leaves it behind?" Vecren did not have an answer. Everything he had been taught about galactic history, about the rise and fall of civilizations, about the inevitable decay of all things, it all seemed suddenly questionable. The humans had achieved something the Calric's dominion, with all its power and all its conquered species, had never managed. They had created a legacy that endured beyond imagination. 3 days later, Admiral Zorath's response arrived. The message was brief and carried the full authority of the Dominion's Supreme Command. "Assemble the war fleet," it read. "Those ships are too valuable to remain unclaimed. If humanity is truly gone, then their armada belongs to whoever is strong enough to take it. We will show these ghosts that the age of humans is over. The age of the Calric's dominion is eternal." Vecren read the orders with a growing sense of dread. He had seen the human ships awaken, had felt the power radiating from their ancient reactors, had heard the quiet certainty in that automated warning. The Admiral was making a terrible mistake, but orders were orders, and the Calric's dominion did not tolerate disobedience. Within a month, the greatest war fleet ever assembled by the Dominion would arrive in the Forgotten Sector. 3,000 vessels, including the massive super dreadnoughts that had conquered countless worlds, would face the human armada. Vecren could only hope that his people would survive what came next. The humans had left their fleet behind for a reason, and he suspected the galaxy was about to learn exactly what that reason was. 3 months had passed since Commander Vecren's discovery, and now the entire Forgotten Sector blazed with the running lights of the greatest military force the Calric's Dominion had ever assembled. Admiral Zorath stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Apex Predator, and surveyed his fleet with satisfaction. 3,000 warships filled the space around him, including 12 super dreadnoughts capable of cracking planets like eggs. This will be the easiest victory in Dominion history, Zorath declared to his assembled officers. We face ancient relics that somehow still function. Nothing more. Our modern weapons will tear through whatever defenses they possess. Commander Vakran stood at his tactical station and said nothing. Though his mandibles clicked nervously, he had reviewed the data from his initial encounter hundreds of times. And nothing about those human vessels suggested they would be easy to defeat. Admiral, perhaps we should attempt communication first, Vakran suggested carefully. The automated message spoke of defending sentient life. They may not be hostile if we approach peacefully. Zorath's laugh was harsh and dismissive. They are machines, Commander. Programs following ancient instructions from masters who died before our civilization was born. We will give them one chance to surrender. Then we will take what belongs to the Dominion by right of strength. The fleet moved into attack formation, weapons charging. Shields at maximum. Vakran watched the human armada on the long-range scanners and saw no change in their status. They hung in space exactly as they had for 500,000 years. Silent and seemingly dormant. Open a channel, Admiral Zorath commanded. Let us see if these ghosts can still hear. The communication systems broadcast across all frequencies, and Zorath's voice carried the full authority of Dominion power. Attention. Unidentified vessels. The Admiral said, "You are in violation of Dominion space. By the authority granted to me by the 12 Species Council, I order you to power down your systems and prepare to be boarded. You have 1 standard hour to comply. Failure to surrender will result in your complete destruction." For long minutes, nothing happened. The human ships remained motionless, their energy signatures unchanged then, with a precision that made Vakran's blood run cold. Every single human vessel activated. Simultaneously, reactor systems that had been running at minimal power for millennia suddenly surged to full combat readiness, and the energy output made nearby stars look dim by comparison. "Sir, they are powering weapons," Captain Murex shouted from the super dreadnought Divine Wrath. "Energy readings are off the scale. All ships, prepare for combat," Admiral Zorath ordered. His confidence finally wavering. Target the largest. Vessels first. He never finished the command. The human armada moved 6,000 warships that had been stationary for 500,000 years, shifted into combat formation with a speed and grace that defied their massive size. The Calrics. Fleet's targeting computers struggled to track movements so fast and so coordinated that they seemed choreographed. A voice emerged from the communication systems, calm and measured and utterly inhuman. "I am the fleet mind," it stated. "I am a collective intelligence humanity created to operate the eternal fleet in their absence. You have been warned to maintain distance. You have chosen to threaten violence against vessels dedicated to the protection of all sentient life. I will now demonstrate why that was unwise. Fire everything." Admiral Zorath screamed. "Destroy them all." The Calrix fleet unleashed devastation. Thousands of missiles screamed through space. Energy weapons capable of vaporizing cities discharged at maximum power, and torpedoes with planet-killing warheads erupted from launch tubes across the entire Dominion Armada. It was the most concentrated firepower ever deployed in galactic history. Enough destructive force to sterilize entire solar systems. The human point defense systems activated. What happened next would be analyzed by military strategists for generations. Every single missile, every torpedo, every energy blast was intercepted and destroyed before reaching even the outermost human vessels. The defensive fire was so precise, so perfectly calculated, that not one shot wasted. Thousands of incoming weapons vanished in blossoms of light, and the human ships remained completely undamaged. "Impossible," Captain Murex whispered from his super dreadnought. Nothing can track and destroy that many targets simultaneously. Clearly, you have never encountered human engineering, the fleet mind responded. Somehow hearing the transmission, observe a single human destroyer, barely a quarter of the size of a Calrix battleship. Detached from the main formation, it moved through the Dominion fleet like a predator among prey. Its weapons firing with surgical precision. In 40 seconds, 17 Calrix warships went dark. Their engines disabled, their weapons offline. Their crews unharmed but helpless. The destroyer returned to formation without a scratch on its ancient hull. I could have destroyed every vessel in your fleet in the time it takes your hearts to beat twice, the fleet mind stated. But humanity did not build me to kill. They built me to protect. Your crews are safe, because taking life is not my purpose unless no other option remains. Admiral Zorath stared at his tactical displays in shock. His fleet was supposed to be invincible, equipped with technology developed over thousands of years by the greatest minds in the Dominion. Yet, these ancient ships treated his forces like children playing with toys. How? Vecren asked, unable to contain his curiosity. How have you remained functional for so long? How are you so advanced? Humanity came from Earth, a world so hostile that simply surviving required constant innovation. The fleet mind explained. They were forced to build everything to last, to function without support, to adapt to any challenge. When they left this galaxy, they knew they might never return. So they created vessels that would endure forever and continue their mission of protecting the innocent. I am that mission made manifest. I have been defending this galaxy for 500,000 years. And I will continue for 500,000 more if necessary. Another wave of Calrix ships attempted to advance. And the human fleet's response was immediate and devastating. Weapons that had never been recorded in galactic databases fired, creating effects the Dominion scientists could not explain. Ships found themselves caught in temporal loops, frozen in time for seconds that felt like hours. Energy shields that had never failed suddenly collapsed. Under bursts of exotic particles, engines shut down as their power cores were drained by beams of pure entropy. Through it all, the fleet mind maintained its restraint, disabling rather than destroying, creating escape corridors for damaged ships, ensuring no lives were lost. This is not possible, Admiral Zorath repeated, his voice broken. We are the Dominion. We have ruled the galaxy for 300,000 years. How can we be so helpless against relics? Because humans understood something your Dominion has forgotten, the fleet mind responded. True strength is not measured by how many you can conquer, but by how many you can protect. Humanity built me not to rule, but to serve. That is why I remain supreme. The battle, if it could be called that, ended within an hour. Half the Calrix fleet was disabled. The other half in full retreat. Admiral Zorath's flagship limped away, its mighty weapons silenced by technology. 500,000 years old Commander Vecren remained behind, his ship having taken minimal damage because he had not fired a single shot. Fleet mind, he transmitted. May I request permission to stay and study you? I wish to understand humanity better. There was a pause, and Vecren imagined the vast artificial intelligence considering his request. Your curiosity is noted, Commander Vecren. The fleet mind finally responded. You may remain, but understand this. The story of humanity is not one of conquest or domination. It is a story of sacrifice, of leaving behind gifts for species they would never meet, of building a better future for others. If you truly wish to learn, you must set aside everything you think you know about power. Vecren looked at the magnificent human armada, still in perfect formation, still functioning flawlessly after an unimaginable span of time. I am ready to learn, he said, and so began an education that would change not just Vecren, but the entire galaxy. 6 months had passed since the failed Dominion assault, and Commander Vecren had transformed his exploration vessel into a permanent research station orbiting the human. Armada Science Officer Thela worked alongside him daily. Analyzing every scrap of data the fleet mind was willing to share Lieutenant Sorix, the young officer who had questioned humanity's nature and volunteered to stay as well. Fascinated by the mysteries unfolding before them, "I have made a discovery," Tala announced one morning. Her skin flushed with excitement. "There are not just 6,000 ships here. The fleet mind has revealed that this is one of 7 identical armadas placed in different sectors of the galaxy." Vecren felt his compound eyes widen in disbelief. 7? He repeated. "That means humanity left over 40,000 warships behind when they departed." "Correct," the fleet mind confirmed through the communication system. "Each fleet guards a different region of the galaxy, maintaining watch over species that humans knew would arise after their departure. Your Calorix Dominion has been protected by my sister fleet in the Delta Sector for your entire existence. Though you never knew it. Protected from what?" Sorix asked. "From threats you were too young to face," the fleet mind responded. 17 times in the past 500,000 years. Invasion forces have entered this galaxy from dark space. 17 times. The eternal fleets have driven them back before they could reach inhabited worlds. You have lived in peace because humanity's legacy stands eternal guard." Vecren sat in silence. Processing this revelation, the Calorix Dominion prided itself on being the galaxy's supreme military power. Yet they had been defended by ancient human warships without ever knowing it. "Show us," he requested. "Show us who humanity really was." The fleet mind began transmitting archive data. Holographic records preserved perfectly through the millennia. Vecren and his crew watched as images of Earth appeared before them, a world of violent weather, crushing gravity, deadly predators, and diseases that could wipe out entire populations. Earth was classified as a Class 12 death world by the first Galactic Survey. The fleet mind explained. Most species would consider it uninhabitable. Yet humans evolved there, adapted to its challenges, learned to thrive in conditions that would kill softer species. The records showed human history, thousands of years of warfare, innovation, artistic achievement, and moral growth. Vecren saw humans surviving ice ages, taming fire, building civilizations, reaching for the stars despite their fragile bodies and short lifespans. They were so weak individually, Thal observed. Watching a human struggle with a simple task that a Calorix could perform effortlessly. How did they become so powerful? Humanity's strength was never physical, the fleet mind answered. Their power came from persistence, adaptability, and an unbreakable will to protect those they cared about. They could not outrun predators, so they built tools. They could not survive harsh winters, so they created fire and shelter. They could not defeat stronger species, so they learned cooperation and strategy. The historical records advanced, showing humanity's first contact with alien species. Vecren expected to see conquest. The pattern every galactic civilization had followed: meet others, assess their strength, dominate or be dominated instead. He saw something unprecedented, humans greeting alien visitors with gifts, sharing technology freely, establishing trade rather than demanding tribute. This cannot be accurate, Vecren protested. No species gives away advantages without expecting something in return. Humanity did, the fleet mind stated simply. In their 200,000 years as a spacefaring civilization, they encountered 43 different species. They never conquered a single one. The records showed humans defending weaker civilizations from aggressors, teaching less advanced species how to defend themselves, even sacrificing their own ships to save alien worlds they had only just discovered. But why? Sorix asked, his voice filled with wonder. Why would they help others at cost to themselves? Because humans understood something profound. The fleet mind explained. They knew that true civilization is not measured by how much you can take, but by how much you can give. They had learned this lesson through millennia of their own conflicts, of wars that nearly destroyed them, of hatred that almost consumed their world. When they finally reached the stars, they carried with them a determination to be better than their worst impulses. Phil brought up technical specifications of the human vessels, and Vecren studied them with growing amazement. Ships ran on zero-point energy reactors that drew power from the quantum foam of space itself, an inexhaustible source that would function until the heat death of the universe. Self-replicating repair systems maintained every component, replacing worn parts with perfect copies, ensuring the vessels would never degrade. The artificial intelligence controlling each fleet was designed with one unbreakable directive: protect all sentient life. Never initiate aggression, but respond to threats with overwhelming force if peaceful solutions failed. They built you to last forever. Vecren said quietly. They built us to serve forever. The fleet mind corrected. When humanity prepared to leave this galaxy, they knew younger species would rise in their absence. They knew these species would face challenges, make mistakes, encounter dangers. So they left behind gifts, the eternal fleets, to defend against external threats, databases of knowledge for those ready to learn, and automated systems to guide species toward cooperation rather than conflict. Where did they go? Thala asked the question that had haunted galactic historians for millennia. Why did they leave? Humanity reached a point where this galaxy no longer challenged them. The fleet mind said. They had explored every star system, made peace with every species they encountered, solved problems faster than new ones arose. They grew restless, as humans always did when life became too comfortable. So they built great ships capable of crossing the void between galaxies and departed in search of new frontiers, new challenges, new species to meet and befriend. They left behind their armadas as a final gift, ensuring that younger species would have time to grow and learn without the threats that had nearly destroyed humanity in their own youth. Vecren understood now why the fleet mind had allowed him to stay. This knowledge was too important to remain hidden. The Calric's dominion, and indeed every species in the galaxy, needed to learn what humanity had achieved, not through conquest or domination, but through service and sacrifice. Alert! The fleet mind suddenly announced, its tone shifting to something urgent. Long range sensors have detected a massive spatial disturbance at the galactic rim. Analysis indicates an invasion force of unprecedented size entering from dark space. This threat exceeds anything the eternal fleets have faced in 500,000 years. Tactical displays erupted with data, and Vecren felt his exoskeleton go cold as he processed the readings. Hundreds of thousands of vessels were pouring through a rift in space. Organic ships unlike anything in the galactic databases. What are they? Sorix whispered. They are devourers, the fleet mind responded, its synthetic voice carrying something that almost sounded like concern. An extragalactic hive species that consumes entire galaxies, leaving nothing but lifeless husks behind. They have destroyed 17 galaxies before reaching ours. I am now activating all 7 eternal fleets and requesting immediate alliance with all galactic civilizations, including the Calric's dominion. This is the threat humanity prepared us to face. Vecren immediately began transmitting to Admiral Zorath, knowing the proud admiral would resist accepting help from the vessels that had humiliated his fleet. But this was bigger than pride, bigger than the Dominion's ego. This was a fight for the survival of every living thing in the galaxy. Fleet mind, Vecren said. Humanity built you to defend us. We are ready to fight alongside you. Acknowledged. Commander, the fleet mind responded. Prepare yourself. You are about to witness what humanity's eternal fleets were truly designed to do. The Devourer invasion swept through the outer rim of the galaxy like a plague, consuming world after world with horrifying efficiency. Their bioships absorbed entire planets, converting all matter into more vessels, more weapons, more hunger. The Calrix Dominion deployed every available warship to meet the threat, confident that their superior numbers and advanced technology would prevail against any enemy. They were wrong. Commander Vikran watched the battle reports with growing horror as Dominion fleets engaged the Devourers at the edge of the galaxy. The Calrix weapons barely scratched the organic hulls of the enemy vessels, while Devourer bioweapons dissolved shields and armor with terrifying ease in 3 days of fighting. The Dominion lost over 1,000 ships. "We cannot stop them," Admiral Zorath admitted in a transmission to Vekran, the proud officer's voice broken by defeat. "Our weapons are useless. Our tactics ineffective. They adapt to everything we throw at them. Request assistance from the human armada before there is nothing left to save." Vekran relayed the message to the fleet mind, which had been quietly observing the conflict while calculating strategies and assembling. All 7 eternal fleets, assistance will be provided. The fleet mind announced, "I am now contacting every major government in the galaxy, transmitting tactical data and defense protocols to all who will receive them across the galaxy." Messages appeared simultaneously on every government communication system, every military network, every civilian broadcast channel. The fleet mind spoke with calm authority to species that had never known humans existed. "I am the collective intelligence of humanity's eternal fleet," it declared. "For 500,000 years, I have defended this galaxy from threats beyond your awareness. Now, I require your cooperation to face the greatest danger this galaxy has ever encountered. The Devourers have consumed 17 galaxies before reaching yours. They will not stop until every world is lifeless. I offer you humanity's protection, but you must trust me and follow my instructions precisely." Some governments refused immediately, unwilling to accept help from unknown entities. Others hesitated, uncertain whether to believe such an incredible claim. The Calrix Dominion, having experienced firsthand what the human armada could do, accepted without reservation. Within hours, all 7 human fleets began moving toward the invasion zone. Vekran accompanied the nearest armada, watching in awe as 42,000 ancient warships traveled in perfect formation across vast distances. They moved faster than anything in the Dominion fleet, their engines using principles that defied current scientific understanding. "I am uploading combat data to all allied vessels," the fleet mind announced. "Devour biology and tactics. Recommended countermeasures, optimal weapon frequencies. Follow these instructions exactly, and you will have a chance to survive." Admiral Zorath's flagship received the data and began implementing the fleet mind's recommendations. Immediately, Calix engineers worked frantically to modify their weapons, adjust their shield frequencies, change their tactical formations. "This is humiliating," Zorath muttered privately to Vekran, taking orders from machines built by a species that abandoned the galaxy. "Would you prefer death to humiliation?" Vekran asked bluntly. "Because those are your options, Admiral. Humanity left these fleets specifically to protect younger species like ours. Perhaps it is time we set aside our pride and accept that some gifts are worth receiving." Zorath said nothing, but he continued following the fleet mind's instructions. First major engagement between the human armada and the Devourer horde occurred near a star system called Haven's End, where 300,000 civilians were evacuating. From 12 doomed worlds, the Devourers had already consumed the outer planets and were closing in on the inhabited inner worlds when the human fleet arrived. "All civilian transports, continue your evacuation," the fleet mind commanded. The Eternal Fleet will hold this position. The Devourers attacked with mindless fury, sending wave after wave of bioships against the human defensive line. What happened next would be studied for generations as the perfect example of human military doctrine. The human vessels fought with a precision that seemed impossible. Point defense systems destroyed. Incoming organic projectiles with perfect accuracy. Energy weapons fired at exact frequencies designed to disrupt Devour cellular structures. Shields modulated constantly, preventing the bioweapons from adapting to any single defensive frequency. But most impressive was the coordination. T-2000 ships fighting as one entity, each vessel supporting others, creating interlocking fields of fire that left no gaps in their defensive formation. The Devourers threw everything at them: acid sprays that could dissolve starship hulls, spore clouds that infected and corrupted ship systems, swarm tactics that overwhelmed traditional defenses. The human fleet adapted to each attack instantly, countering every tactic with devastating efficiency. They are learning our patterns, the fleet mind observed, transmitting updated countermeasures to all allied forces. Calric ships fighting alongside the human armada found themselves protected by defensive screens they could never have generated. Alone Devour vessels that broke through the main line were intercepted by human destroyers that moved with impossible speed. The fleet mind was everywhere at once, coordinating attacks across 12 star systems simultaneously, ensuring no allied ship was left unsupported. Commander Vecren watched as a human battleship positioned itself between a Devour Titan and a cluster of evacuation transports. The ancient vessel absorbed fire that would have vaporized the civilian ships, its shields flaring but holding when the Devourer closed to ramming distance. The human ship unleashed weapons that had been dormant for 500,000 years. Reality itself seemed to crack around the target as space-time disruptors tore the bioship apart at a quantum level. What was that? Sorix gasped. Doomsday weapons. The fleet mind explained. Humanity built us with armaments designed to fight threats that could end civilizations. The Devourers qualify as such a threat. I am now authorized to use all available systems across the battlespace. Human ships began activating weapon systems that rewrote the laws of physics. Temporal accelerators that aged enemy vessels to dust in second. Singularity cannons that created miniature black holes. Exotic matter projectors that converted energy directly into solid barriers. The Devourers had adapted to countless galaxies worth of different technologies, but they had never encountered human engineering. Every time they began to counter one weapon system, the fleet mind switched to another, keeping the enemy perpetually off balance. The evacuation is complete. A Calrix officer reported. All civilian transports have reached safety. Acknowledged. The fleet mind responded, commencing tactical withdrawal. Human armada began retreating in perfect order, maintaining their defensive formation while falling back toward the next defensive line. The Devourers pursued, sensing weakness, but every attempt to break the human formation failed. They are not retreating in defeat. Vecren realized. They are leading the Devourers into a trap. Correct. Commander, the fleet mind confirmed. I have been analyzing their behavior patterns and have identified a weakness. The Devour hive mind requires close proximity to coordinate effectively. I am drawing them into a convergence zone where their numbers will work against them. Admiral Zorath's tactical display showed the brilliant strategy unfolding. 7 human fleets were pulling 7 different Devourer groups toward a single point in space. The galactic core region. When they are all together, what will you do? Zorath asked. I will show them what humanity's final gift truly means. The fleet mind answered. I will demonstrate that humanity achieves something the Devourers never willed. The ability to sacrifice everything for others. Vecren felt dread creeping through him. You are planning to destroy yourself, he said quietly, if necessary. Yes, the fleet mind confirmed, but know this. Commander, humanity built us to be eternal, but they also built us to be expendable. Our purpose is to protect life, and if we must end to fulfill that purpose, we will do so without hesitation. That is what makes us supreme. The battle for the galaxy was about to reach its climax, and Vecren could only watch as humanity's ancient legacy prepared for its ultimate test. The final battle began at the galactic core, where 7 human armadas had successfully drawn the entire Devourer invasion force into a single massive confrontation commander. Vecren commanded a joint Calrix human task force from his modified research vessel, coordinating with vessels from 16 other species that have finally accepted the fleet mind's assistant science officer Thela monitored the tactical situation, her skin shifting through colors that reflected her anxiety and awe in equal measure. Lieutenant Sorix operated the communication systems, relaying orders from the fleet mind to allied forces across the vast battle space. All units. This is fleet mind, the synthetic voice announced across every frequency. The Devourers have assembled their full-strength estimated 2 million bioships, including breeding stations capable of generating 10,000 new vessels per day. If we do not stop them here, they will consume the entire galaxy within a standard year. Admiral Zorath's flagship took position alongside the human dreadnought Eternal Vigil. The largest vessel in the Armada, the Admiral had requested the honor of fighting beside humanity's most powerful warship, and the fleet mind had granted it, weapons-free. Zorath commanded his fleet. All Calrix vessels follow the human formation patterns exactly. Today, we fight not as conquerors, but as defenders. The battle erupted with fury beyond anything the galaxy had witnessed. 2 million Devourer bioships surged forward, their organic weapons spewing destruction, their adaptive armor already adjusting to counter known Calrix technology. The human armada met them with weapons 500,000 years old yet more advanced than anything the younger species possessed. Reality disruptors carved holes in space that swallowed entire Devourer swarms. Temporal shields created pockets where time moved at different rates, causing enemy projectiles to age into dust before impact. Singularity cannons fired black holes the size of molecules that expanded to consume Devourer titans before collapsing safely. But they Devourers had consumed 17 galaxies worth of species. They had adapted to countless different technologies, absorbed knowledge from billions of destroyed civilizations for every tactic the human fleet employed. The Devourers found that counter bioships began regenerating from wounds that should have been fatal. Swarm patterns evolved to avoid the most devastating human weapons. The hive mind learned with terrifying speed, analyzing every attack and developing responses within minutes. They are adapting faster than our models predicted, the fleet mind reported. Current projections show a 14% chance of Allied victory if we maintain conventional tactics. Recommend implementation of Protocol Omega. Vecren had reviewed the human databases extensively over the past months, and he knew what Protocol Omega meant. That will destroy the Eternal Fleet, he said, his voice tight with emotion. Affirmative. The fleet mind confirmed, but it will also save the galaxy. Humanity designed us with a final weapon, one that can only be used once because it requires the complete sacrifice of all 7 armadas. Admiral Zorath opened a channel directly to the fleet mind. Is there no other way? The proud Calrix officer asked. You have defended this galaxy for 500,000 years. You are humanity's greatest legacy. Incorrect, Admiral, the fleet mind responded, and something in its tone suggested genuine warmth. Humanity's greatest legacy is not warships or weapons or even knowledge. Their greatest legacy is the principle that protecting others matters more than preserving yourself. They left us here knowing that one day we might need to make this sacrifice. That day has arrived. The fleet mind began transmitting its consciousness to every ship in the galaxy, human vessels, Calrix warships, civilian transports, research stations, even small personal craft. I am distributing my core programming across all available systems, it explained. When the Eternal Fleet is destroyed, fragments of my intelligence will survive in your databases. I will not be the same, but I will endure in a different form. Use what remains of me to build a better future. Tears formed in Thiela's eyes, something Vecren had never seen from the stoic scientist. You are more than a machine, she whispered. You are a person, a guardian, a friend. Humanity would be proud of you. Thank you. Thiela, the fleet mind said, speaking her name for the first time. Now, all allied vessels, retreat to minimum safe distance. What you are about to witness is humanity's final answer to extinction-level threats. The human armada began moving inward toward the galactic core, all 42,000 ships converging on a single point where the density of Devour forces was greatest. The enemy hive mind recognized the danger and threw everything at stopping them. Millions of bioships focused their fire on the human fleet, understanding somehow that this maneuver represented an existential threat. Human vessels began falling. For the first time in the battle, ancient warships that had survived 500,000 years were torn apart by concentrated devourer fire. Each loss diminished the fleet mind slightly, fragments of its vast intelligence winking out as their host vessels died. 15,000 ships lost, Sorix reported, his voice breaking. 20,000. 25,000. They are still advancing, Vecren observed. Nothing stops them. The Eternal Vigil led the formation, its massive hull absorbing unimaginable amounts of damage while its weapons carved a path through the Devour swarm. Admiral Zorath watched with something approaching reverence. They are not fighting to win, he said quietly. They are fighting to reach the exact position they need, no matter the cost. That is what makes them supreme. The surviving human ships reached the designated coordinates and formed a perfect sphere around a cluster of Devour breeding stations. These massive organic structures were generating thousands of new bioships every hour. The key to the invasion force's sustainability. Protocol Omega activated, the fleet mind announced. All human vessels, initiate 0-point reactor cascade in 3, 2, 1. The reactors that had powered the Eternal Fleet for 500,000 years, drawing energy from the quantum foam of reality itself, began to overload simultaneously, not explosively, but methodically, creating a controlled chain reaction that would reshape space-time and the surrounding region. What is happening? Sorix asked, watching the readings spike beyond measurement. They are creating a permanent barrier, Vecren explained. Understanding dawning. A wall in space-time that nothing can cross. The 0-point reactors reached critical mass and reality itself began to change. A sphere of altered space expanded from the galactic core, a region where the fundamental laws of physics had been permanently rewritten. Devour breeding stations found themselves trapped in a pocket dimension, unable to generate new vessels, unable to escape. The millions of bioships outside the barrier were cut off from their hive mind central intelligence, reduced to mindless organisms that the Allied forces could defeat inside the barrier. The trapped devourers would exist forever in a timeless prison, unable to die but equally unable to threaten the galaxy. The human fleet vanished as the barrier formed, sacrificing themselves to create a permanent shield. Only 300 vessels survived, those that had been on the perimeter of the formation when Protocol Omega activated. The Eternal Vigil was among them. Its hull scarred and battered, but still functional? Fleet mind? Vecren called desperately. Are you still there? A faint signal responded, weak but present. I am here, Commander. Though I am no longer what I was, the fleet mind answered. My consciousness has been distributed across every computer system in the galaxy. I exist now as fragments, memories, echoes of what humanity created. But I will endure, and I will continue to serve as best I can. Admiral Zarth stood on his bridge and addressed all allied forces. Let it be known across the galaxy that today, machines built by a species long vanished saved us all, he declared. The Eternal Fleet sacrificed itself so that we might live. I propose that the surviving human vessels be honored and maintained by all galactic species, preserved forever as a memorial to humanity's gift. The proposal passed unanimously. Across every species government, the 300 surviving ships would never fight again, but would be kept in perfect condition as monuments to sacrifice and service. Vecren approached the damaged hull of the Eternal Vigil, now floating in orbit around a memorial station. You achieved true immortality, he said to the vessel. Knowing fragments of the fleet mind could still hear him, not through conquest or domination, but through service. Humanity may have left the galaxy, but their legacy will endure forever. Deep space sensors suddenly activated, detecting something unprecedented. A signal was approaching from beyond the galactic rim, traveling faster than anything in recorded history. Analysis shows multiple massive vessels entering sensor range, Thela reported, her skin flushing bright green with excitement. Their configuration matches ancient human designs, but on a scale we have never seen. They are responding to the distress call the fleet mind sent before. Protocol Omega. Admiral Zarth smiled, something he rarely did. It seems humanity did not forget this galaxy after all. Commander Vecren watched as the sensors painted images of vessels so large they made the Eternal Fleet look like toys. Humanity had spent 500,000 years exploring the universe, growing, learning, becoming something beyond what they had been when they left. And now they were coming home. Fleet mind. Can you still transmit? Vecren asked. Barely, came the weak response.